What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Week 7 predictions continue with a big matchup here taking place in Corvallis, Oregon. If you think the Pac-12 doesn't play defense, I encourage you to tune into this game Saturday night. We got two very physical teams on the slate this weekend. UCLA going on the road to take on the Oregon State Beavers. These two teams are kind of right there, sitting in that second tier as far as Pac-12 contenders go, and a win here would assert either one of these maybe into that top tier. This is going to be a fun one from Corvallis. We're going to dive into it here in just a little bit, but before we do, you guys know I got to thank you for all the support the channel has seen as of late. Been really amazing to me, so I just want to thank all you guys so much. If you want to continue to show your support this college football season, you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, ring the bell. Biggest way to help support me, and it makes you aware of when videos get uploaded, but there are more ways than that to help support me. Watching the video, liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys can help do to interact or support the channel would mean a lot to me. But again, enough about me. We're diving on in here, continuing with Week 7 predictions. We got the Bruins. We got the Beavers. Should be a very fun one from Corvallis. And again, like I said a little bit ago, if you are still of the mind that, the Pac-12 just doesn't play defense, really encourage you to watch this game. These are two physical teams. It's going to be a hard-hitting battle, and it's going to be a fun one from Corvallis. Let's dive on into the stats that both of these teams have put up so far this year. We are starting out with the road team. That's the 18th-ranked UCLA Bruins, coming off a huge win against the Washington State Cougars, previously unbeaten Washington State Cougars, but it was done by the UCLA defense. We're going to talk about the offense first, but the defense has been the story of this team. Again, let's talk about the offense first, though. Dante Moore is that starting quarterback for this team, and he has shown flashes of being something really special. And I think Dante Moore is going to develop into something really special. But last week definitely was not as good as he could play. On the season, as 1,139 yards, 9 touchdowns, and 4 picks, right? But when I go ahead and I take a look at what Dante Moore has done so far this year, again, he has shown some really nice things. He's flashed the ability with the arm, and he's flashed the accuracy and everything like that. But taking a look at Dante Moore throughout the entirety of this season, that more often than not, Dante Moore has been a little inaccurate. He's been a little hasty with his decision making. Now, he has a lot of great weapons that he has used really well, especially the Cal transfer in J. Michael Sturdivant, right? But when I go ahead and take a look at this UCLA offense, a lot of it is run through the ground game, right? Guys like Carson Steele, guys like TJ Harden, Anthony Adkins are really getting it done on the ground. It's helping to drive this UCLA offense, but on top of the fact that Dante Moore could consistently be playing better, it's an offense that could be converting a lot more on third down, could hold on to the ball a lot better. Now, albeit Ethan Garbers and Colin Schlee have come in and thrown 3 combined interceptions. So if you take those out, only 7 turnovers. Still got to do a little bit better job of holding on to the football, and especially a better job at protecting Dante Moore. 14 sacks have been allowed on Dante Moore, 15 in total this season. The offensive line's going to get a really good test against an Oregon State defensive front. But what did I just talk about? The UCLA story of the season has been their defense, specifically their rush defense. They're the second best rush defense in the country, only that behind the Miami Hurricanes. Hey, I just got that preview prediction video out when they go play the North Carolina Tar Heels. But focusing back in on this game and focusing on the UCLA defense, everything that the offense is struggling with here, well, the UCLA defense has done a really good job at. Now, UCLA is not struggling to run the football, but the UCLA defense has been really good at defending the run, and their secondaries come up with a lot of very nice plays. They are forcing turnovers, including, again, their secondary 8 picks. That means 5 fumbles recovered on the season, and they are generating pressure, averaging 3.6 sacks per game, 18 in total. This is a UCLA defense that strives at getting into the backfield, whether it's in the run game or it's creating pressure on opposing quarterbacks. So this is going to be a very fun matchup when you go against an Oregon State offensive side that, hey, is very explosive at times. DJU has performed really well so far this season, especially what they did last week against Cal offensively. 1,307 yards, 13 touchdowns to 4 picks, and this is an Oregon State offensive line that has only allowed 4 sacks on DJU, 6 in total. to when the backup has come in there. It's an Oregon State offense that doesn't turn the football over. Only 5 turnovers so far on the season, and they're a pretty solid third down offense as well. But the challenge comes here with Oregon State, as they do like to run the football and set the pace with the ground. Damian Martinez is fantastic. Deshaun Fenwick has been really, really good. And interestingly enough, DJU leads this team in rushing touchdowns. He has 5 rushing touchdowns this year. So those 3 guys have performed really, really well on the ground. And we have seen, especially as of late, DJU really, really develop as a good, consistent pass threat for this Oregon State offense. But it's an offensive line that's one of the best in the Pac-12, probably one of the best in the entire country, and they are very, very physical offensively, right? They like to set the pace with the run, and the offensive line is really, really good. However, they are really physical defensively as well, specifically as well in the run game and in their pass rush as well. Haven't forced as many turnovers as the UCLA Bruins have, but they're still a pretty solid third down defense, and they get to the quarterback. 2.83 sacks per game, and even though their number is very similar compared that to UCLA, they have played 1 more game, so the average sacks per game number is going to be a little bit lower than what you will see with UCLA, even though the numbers are very similar. But this rush defense is also really, really good, and Oregon State is very, very physical up front. Now, the secondary definitely could have its hands full if Dante Moore is on his game. But you have to focus in on the run game here and be able to create pressure to Dante Moore and a UCLA offensive line that has really, really struggled so far this season, which leads me into my what to watch for, keys to the game, whatever you want to call it, just some things I think you should keep an eye on or keep in mind while you are watching this one. We are starting out with the UCLA Bruins. Dante Moore needs to step it up. Now, again, he has shown flashes of being something really, really special. He's only a freshman this year, and I think later down the line, Dante Moore may eventually exceed what Dorian Thompson-Robinson was able to do with this program. But when I take a look at his play, especially for this matchup right here, Dante Moore has got to be a difference maker. UCLA may not have a lot of success on the ground against a very, very physical defensive front with the Oregon State Beavers, which means Dante Moore is going to need to use his arm more often than not. He's going to need to be able to make some plays. He's got to step up his play and be consistent for this UCLA offense. Now, UCLA, just as a general thing on the offensive line especially, you have to be as physical, if not even more physical, than the Oregon State Beavers. This is, maybe besides the Utah Utes, probably the most physical team in the Pac-12. Okay, maybe besides Utah and maybe besides the Oregon Ducks, right? But besides those 2 teams, Oregon State probably has one of the most physical teams in the Pac-12. Now, UCLA is very, 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 very physical as well. But I would probably argue that Oregon State may be a little bit more physical. So UCLA has got to be able to match the physicality, especially on the offensive line. When you compare them to the Oregon State defensive line, the offensive line has got to step up. In order for Dante Moore to be successful, the offensive line has got to be able to give him time and possibly open up some holes for this run game as well, and continue to dominate with the run defense and continue to create pressure on opposing quarterbacks if you are UCLA. Now, you have to force turnovers, but you can't give this Beaver team extra possessions, right? Take the ball out of DJU's hands. Take the ball away from Damian Martinez and this offense that loves to bleed the clock, but it can hurt you with those big plays as well. But if you are the UCLA Bruins and Dante Moore, you yourself cannot turn the football over. That's been a problem for UCLA so far this season, I believe averaging 2 turnovers per game. That cannot happen, especially against an Oregon State team that doesn't turn the football over, but it will be tough sledding, at least to begin with, for DJU and company. Again, this is a UCLA defense that is very, very physical. Now, Oregon State has already handled a physical defense. They just went in and pretty much controlled Utah from start to finish there in the game a couple of weeks ago on Friday night. It's going to be a very similar story here. I do believe that DJU and company are going to struggle to get going, and they definitely will have their fits with this UCLA defense. But once they settle in, Uiagalelei, Damian Martinez, and this offense will get going. And this offensive line, I think, is going to continue to dominate the line of scrimmage. Now, will UCLA be able to generate their sacks? Yes. Yes, they will. This is a UCLA team that will get to the quarterback at least 2 or 3 times in this game. But Oregon State's got to continue to dominate the line of scrimmage, especially on the offensive line. And on the defensive line, you have the clear advantage against this UCLA O-line that has really struggled so far this year. And the last time UCLA went to Corvallis was 2015. Oregon State, not known as one of the better programs back then. It's a much tougher place to play now. It's a much better Oregon State team now than it was back then, since the last time UCLA traveled on the road to play in Corvallis. And I believe that Oregon State is going to hand UCLA their second loss of the year. UCLA is coming off a big win from last week. I do not believe that momentum continues into this week. It's going to be a close game. UCLA is going to be very physical, and at times, I think they're going to match the physicality of what Oregon State's able to bring to the table. But I trust this Beaver offensive line a little bit more. I trust this Beaver defense as a whole a little bit more, and I trust some of the playmakers on this Oregon State team, especially at the quarterback position in DJU, a little bit more. Dante Moore is young, going on the road. This is going to be a pretty tough environment to play against. He's going to get rattled. I think he's going to throw an interception or two. It'll give the Beavers possibly the extra possession they need, and Oregon State will win this game in Corvallis. It should be a fun one. I suggest you tune into this one. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see all you guys in the next video. Goodbye.